Alrighty then. So, a while back, I had mentioned that there were other modes besides major and minor mode. We know major and minor fairly well, and that the minor mode, the relative minor, is built on the sixth scale degree of the major mode. So, for example, C major, no sharps, no flats. You've got, you know, the sixth scale degree, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A. A gets us a natural minor. Right? That's minor. It also has a different name, a Greek name. Likewise, major has a different name, a Greek name. So we have Ionian, which is to say major. And then we have the, let's see, what is it? Aeolian, which is the minor mode. And that's spelled Aeolian. The Greek name, sort of like the names for columns. You've got Doric, Ionic, Corinthian. You know, they're very fancy names for different types of pillars that you might see in some architecture somewhere. The rest of the names, let's see, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Myxolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. And they are all built on the various different scale degrees. First scale degree, Ionian, we just went over that. The second scale degree is no sharps, no flats, but starting on the note on what would be the second note of that sort of a scale, that sort of a key. Less talk, more rock. So no sharps, no flats, but starting instead of on C, starting on D. There's a vaguely major hint to it, but mostly it's got a minor vibe, right? Then you can write a lot of cool stuff in Dorian. All right, then the third one, Phrygian, would be starting on what would be the third scale degree, if you will. So. All right, so that would be Phrygian. Then the fourth scale degree, Lydian, L-Y-D. Oh, by the way, and Phrygian is P-H-R-Y-G-I-A-N. Phrygian, right? Not fridge as in refrigerator, but P-H-R-Y-G-I-A-N. And then after that, you have Lydian, L-Y-D-I-A-N, like the female first name Lydia, but with an N. All right, so Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian. It's almost a standard major mode, but it's got this one raised note, right? So, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth note of the scale is up by a half step. And that just, lends it some an interesting flavor. All right, so that's Lydian. Myxolydian, M-Y-X-O Lydian, L-Y-D-I-A-N. Myxolydian. All right, so. Comes across as majorish till you get that seventh scale degree, and that's lowered somehow, right? So there's your Myxolydian. It sounds as if it's got that flatted blues note to it, right? So that's Myxolydian. Aeolian, of course, minor. Aeolian, A-E-O-L-I-A-N. So minor we know, that's fine. Now, after Aeolian comes Locrian. Locrian's the weird one. And I'll explain why it's weird in a bit. But first of all, Locrian. So you're starting with no sharps, no flats, starting on the note B. It just sounds like it's waiting to turn into something else. It sounds very unsettled. It does not sound like this is a scale you build a song around. It sounds like this is a scale that you play building up to some other scale. Something else, please, anything else, because it's just got this weird sort of, it doesn't sound like, I don't know, I mean, does it sound normal to you? It doesn't sound like this is where you end things. there it is. Just playing right there. You really want to hear, for me, hearing that note just sounds like, okay, we're home, we're back, right? Because it's a scale, it's a mode built on the 7th scale degree. And the 7th scale degree is a leading tone. It leads to the tonic. And to call a collection of notes built on a note that's fundamentally unstable and wants to go someplace else just seems like a weird way to create a mode. Anyhow, now furthermore, what makes these scales and these things seem more stable or less stable than each other? The triad that each of them is built on. So in the key of C major, your triad is based on the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th note of the scale. Right? No problem there. So built on the 2nd scale degree, the Dorian. So that's a minor triad, right, in the Dorian mode. Then something in Phrygian, so we have still got a minor triad in based on the tonic of Phrygian, right, on the root note of Phrygian. And then Lydian. So that's a majory sound, right? And then we have also a majory sound. So that's a minor sounding one. And that makes sense because this is Aeolian. It is the minor mode, right? But then, Locrian, this is why Locrian is unstable. The triad built on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th note of a Locrian scale gets you this. Let's see. So it's a minor 3rd and then another minor 3rd. It's a diminished triad. So half the reason that Locrian sounds weird is because if you were to play like the 1 chord in Locrian, it wouldn't be major or minor. It would be diminished. You know, you would have that tritone, that lowered 4th or lowered 5th, raised 4th in the middle of it, and that's just that's just weird. So that explains why Locrian sounds so peculiar. Now, in case you're saying, how am I supposed to remember all these? Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Myxolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. Ages ago, a professor of mine at college, a guy who was very old and very slender and very frail looking, though in truth he was probably only about like 10 years older than I am now, by the name of Corliss Arnold, C-O-R-L-I-S-S Arnold. Slender fellow. It looks sort of like Ulva Redenbacher's more balding elder brother. And he gave the whole class of us 18-year-olds, a mnemonic device to remember it. Sort of the way that you remember the names of the planets by saying something about, my very excellent mother ordered me 5 pizzas or whatever. It isn't 5, 9 pizzas, sorry. The phrase he had for us was, I don't particularly like my Aunt Lucy. And if your aunt is named Lucy, my apologies, this is no slam on her. It's just a way of remembering these things. So I-D-P-L-M-A-L. With Lydian and Myxolydian being neighbors of each other, and Locrian being the last one at the very end. And if you're saying, well, Locrian, how am I supposed to remember that? I would say to you this. Think of the Norse gods, and think of how Loki was the god of mischief and bad ideas, and therefore Locrian sort of lines up with Loki. That's all I have to say, and I'm going to conclude, and hopefully that helps, or at the very least does not make things more confusing. Adios.